positive vibration, the positive vibrations around the temple is more effective on you, and that's the reason I think most of us feel peaceful.
Okay.
And the amount of time you even it could be a minute or a second or whatnot, the amount of time you look at the deities has a personal connection somewhere with your soul towards the deities, is way powerful, and that's where it keeps pulling you back. The peace, whatever we are looking for, I think is established in that moment. And I feel all the devotion which happens day in, day out, has that positive vibrations around it.
Okay. Okay. Good point. Anyone else? What's your name? Swapna. Okay. Your name? Gaurav. Gaurav. Nice meeting you. You live in the same community here? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for coming. So you want to add anything? Why do we go to temple? Why do we worship God? And why do we feel peaceful when we go to temple?
I think it's more about being in a place where you feel you're not being challenged, right?
Okay.
That's a place where
you feel
like you're not being challenged. You can be yourself, and no one is judging you.
Okay.
And that's what makes everyone feel more comfortable.
Okay.
When you go to temple, that's what you feel, and makes you feel more relaxed and more peaceful at night.
But that you can do in the park also, right? You don't have to talk to anyone. You can just walk around. Nobody is judging you. Nobody knows you. Nobody is judging you. You're not being challenged. So you're just by yourself.
The visuals in the park doesn't get you that feeling so quickly.
Why?
Because when you look at others going around walking, somehow the other, your mind still gets distracted, right?
Now let's say you go to a secluded place. You go to some forest.
Yeah, that can happen.
Where there is nobody.
But again, how often can you go there? So given that temples are around and you go there, you feel that peaceful. And then the other part is you also practice certain certain things at home too, right? Like everyone has a small temple at home, and then you pray to God, right?
Yeah.
So there's always an established connection with the God.
Okay.
So when you go to temple, I think you just feel more powerful with that connection.
Yeah, that's a good point. Connection. Okay, establishing connection with God. So you want to say anything, Swapna? Okay. So you're almost close. Okay. Now I'll give you a clue, and using which, what's his name?
Chandan.
Chandan, right? Yeah. You know that Kirtan? Chandana Chachita. Can you sing that? No? Okay. Yeah, beautiful name. Yeah. So I'll give you a clue using which you can explain why we feel peaceful. So example of a fish. Let's say you have a fish tank in your home, okay? And then the fish is happily swimming in the water. And, imagine you are 3 or 4 years old and you're being so naughty. You try to, you want to take the fish out of the fish tank and then play with it. So what will be the reaction?
The fish will die.
Fish will not die instantly, but so what happens to the fish the moment you take out of the fish tank?
Become scared.
Become scared and
disconnected from the water.
Disconnected from the water. Very good.
Helpless.
Jumping up and down. That's what you said?
You want to go back. You want to go back.
You want to go back? Yeah.
Helpless.
Helpless. So you see that movement, right? What do you say that in English? Flickering. Yeah.
In the battle for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's struggling for sustenance. So, and let's say you see that with your eyes, the fish is not comfortable when you take it out, and then you put the fish back into the water tank. Now what happens?
It's back to being normal.
It'll be in normal situation. It'll be happy. Fish will be happy. So now you can use this example and understand why we become happy when we go to temple. Because we are all suffering in this material world. Okay, whether you are working for Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, or anywhere, whether you are a homemaker, teacher, or president, does not matter. We are all suffering in this material world. And why we are suffering in this material world? Because this is not our original place. We do not belong here. We do not belong here. Where do we belong? Mangesh, where do we belong?
We belong in the spiritual world.
Very good. We belong in the spiritual world. So, and we have forgotten our original place, and then somehow we are in this material world. And we discussed some points during our Discover Yourself course, why we are here in this material world. So our situation in this material world is like that of a fish, which is out of the water. And we are struggling for existence. We're struggling for happiness. Now, the moment you go to temple, because you feel some connection with God, as Gaurav said, you feel some connection with God, that's why you feel peaceful. Just like the fish, when Chandan puts that fish back into the fish tank, the fish is very comfortable, happy, peaceful. Just like that, when we go to temple, we feel that connection with God. And like Jyoti also said, right, we have a secure feeling that this supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, can take care of all our problems in life. So you have that secure feeling. That's why you feel peaceful when you go to temple. Now, this is the difference between our regular Hindu temples and ISKCON temples. ISKCON temples, they are made like universities, educational institutions. So they really teach why we are doing whatever we are doing. Why do we go to temple? Why do we worship God? So anything that you do, why you are doing. So if you don't know why you are doing what you are doing, it will simply remain as a ritual. Now, if Chandan asks Jyoti, so why do we go to temple and all? And if you don't have an answer, then they will not be motivated to come to the temple. But if we explain, then they'll be motivated. Even from right young age, they'll be motivated. Especially in this country, kids are taught in the schools to ask many questions. They are brought up with the logic and reasoning. So they ask a lot of questions. And if you don't answer, then they will not show any motivation to come to school. They'll not show motivation to take up this culture. So, yeah. Okay. Now, next question. Shweta, what's your purpose in life? Okay. So you are playing different roles.
Yeah.
Okay. Dual role or triple role.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but ultimately, what's your purpose in life? You're playing many roles in life, but what's your purpose?
Everyone in the family happy and satisfied with water education, they get the water.
To keep everyone in the family happy. Okay. And what about you? You don't want to be happy?
Yeah, it's like mostly we don't get too much time for ourselves. We are running behind everything. So.
Okay. So you want to sacrifice yourself and just achieve happiness for your family.
Yeah. In the process, I might also be happy, right? When I'm trying to keep everyone happy, and if everyone is happy, I might also feel happy.
Okay. Soumya, what's your purpose in life? If you are still there. Soumya, are you still there? Maybe you're on mute. Okay. Shashank, what's your purpose in life?
Probably my purpose in life to go to temple. I just learned.
To go to temple.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm kidding. But originally, my purpose,
If you
yes,
said go to temple, how often?
as much as I learned that going to temple is important.
Are you in Dallas or Austin?
I am in San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay. So Houston is close by then?
Yes, that's close by.
Okay.
Do we have a temple in Houston?
Yeah, there's a beautiful temple in Houston.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a
Maybe,
ISKCON
yeah.
temple with the Madhura Meenakshi temple, and there are several temples actually in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In Houston, you said, not Austin, right?
Houston, yes.
Oh, Houston is far.
Oh, you are close to Austin?
Yes, Austin.
Okay. Austin, there is no ISKCON temple. I don't know if there are other Hindu temples.
Um,
Okay. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So,
What's your purpose in life?
so I was kidding, basically.
Yeah.
So originally for me, the purpose of life is I want to know myself,
Okay.
because if I know myself, I'll be able to find peace.
Okay.
And that is all that I'm looking for. I mean, if I get peace, like
Yeah.
you said in the last class also,
Mhm.
then happiness, love, prosperity, all of that will just follow. But
Okay.
until I don't feel at peace, it's not going to happen. So the moment I start knowing myself, why am I here and what am I to do?
Mhm.
And that's how it's going to, I guess that's how it's going to work for me at least.
Okay. Okay, that's a good point. So you want to know about yourself. You want to discover yourself.
Why was I thrown here? I mean, apart from that, okay, I at some point of time I was a rebellion soul and I came onto this earth. Okay, fine, all of that is there,
Yeah.
but then there has to be some purpose why things happen.
Mhm. Okay.
Could be just 100 years of punishment. You were thrown into the material world.
Yeah.
So
Good. So we are in this jail. So you want to know why, why you are in this jail.
why here and what am I supposed to do? How to? I mean, do I need to dig a tunnel? To do what?
Yeah.
So
Okay. And how to get out of this place, right? Most
yeah,
important.
if I know, like if I know why am I here, then I can accomplish that in a way. I can think of accomplishing it. I can think of working towards it. If I don't know why am I here, then how can you solve a problem about which you don't know?
Yeah.
What is the problem?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Good.
I mean, that's my humble opinion.
Yeah. Very good. So anyone else want to say anything?
No.
Okay. Chandan, what's your purpose in life?
To return to the fish tank.
To return to the fish tank. Very good. Very good. Excellent. See, kids are smart. Most of the times we think, oh, this is not that age, the kids can learn anything from Bhagavad Gita. Prahlad says kids can start spirituality from the tender age of 5 years. They have the potency, to learn these scriptures and understand spirituality right from the tender age of 5 years. Okay. Very good. I like you, Chandan. Okay. So now going back to that point, right? We were just discussing. We go to temple with a list of desires and everything, right? Yeah. Hi. What's your name?
Swati.
Swati. Okay. Your name? Huh?
Naitiri.
Maithili.
Naitiri.
Naithili. Okay. Your name? Ayan? Arnav. Okay. Nice name. Yeah. Okay. It's a little bit challenging, right? Okay. Yeah. So now, so Bhagavad Gita teaches the knowledge that is required to understand why we should go to temples, why we should worship God, and why we feel peaceful in the temples, and what is the purpose of our life. As Chandan said, my purpose of life is to go back to the fish tank. So we don't belong here, we belong to spiritual world. So how can I get back to my original place, spiritual world, so that I can ever be happy and blissful. So first we also need to understand why we are in this material world. Why are we suffering in this material world? What is God's plan for us? Why is, let's say you are going through some situation in life. It could be tech layoffs or, anything in life. If you are suffering from health issues or family issues or anything, right? So what is God's plan for me? Okay. How can I understand God's plan for me? First of all, behind everything that's happening in our life, there is God's hand.
Yeah, because our karma decides, right?
Karma decides, but
our past karma decides everything. What we are having, today, it's all due to our karma, what we did in the past.
Yeah. But how did this karma begin in the very first place? Have you ever wondered how did this karma begin in the very first place?
With our actions. Yeah.
So we all know karma. If you do good things, you will enjoy good results from it.
Yeah.
If you do bad things, you will suffer from the consequences.
Deeds or bad deeds for entire the life cycle. So we want to, if we do good things, we will get whatever we want.
Yeah.
If we do bad things, the karma decides like what is the next life. It's like question mark. We don't know.
Yeah.
Even the connection to husband and wife, like a son or daughter, whatever, friends with friends.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who are pretending. Who is really connected to us.
Who is genuine? Who is not?
Who is genuine? Who is not?
Yeah.
Who is jealous about us?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So everything, what is the thing means, always we want to connect with God.
Yeah.
He is the one who decides what is the next, what is the next again goes.
Yeah.
It is go wrong or goes good. We don't know.
Yeah.
Everything he decides.
Yeah. And that connecting with God or loving God, so most of the times we consider them as verbs. Sorry, most of the time we consider them as nouns. If somebody asks what is love, their conception of love is like a noun. But love, there is a saying, right? Love is not a noun, it's a verb. What is verb? Chandan? Action oriented. When you love somebody, you need to show that in action, not just simply say that, hey, I love you. No. So you have to show that in action. So now Jyoti said connecting with God, right? So how do we connect with God is by understanding God's plan for us. Whenever a situation is happening in our life, we have to understand God's plan. What is God's plan for me? What is God trying to teach me in this situation? So I'll tell you a small story. So once upon a time, there was a beautiful temple, and there's a beautiful deity of Krishna, standing deity of Krishna. And then the sweeper of the temple, every day, he's looking at God standing, always standing. And then one day he gets an idea. So my God, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's always standing. So wouldn't he be, taking so much of pain, to do this every day? Maybe I will help him. I will stand. I'll offer him a seat to sit. Instead of keeping him standing all day long, 365 days, maybe I'll offer him a seat to sit. So then he offers a seat. Then Krishna says, okay, I will sit in this position. The place you offered, I'll sit in that position. But you have to stand as God for one day. Then the sweeper gets curious, oh, am I becoming God now? So then he says, okay, if my God is willing to sit and relax this one day, I can help my God at least, for one day. the pain from standing all day long. So then he agrees. The sweeper agrees to stand as God. So in the place of deity, the sweeper is going to stand in that position. And Krishna says, I'm going to make you look like me, just exactly like me. You will look as if it is a deity. I'll transform you into a position, into a form where you will look like me and in the form of deity. And whoever comes, whatever they do, whoever come here, you should not talk anything, you should not disturb anything. The sweeper agrees. Because he is helping God, right? He's helping God relax for one day. That is his goal. His goal is not to become God for one day. Just like, that there was a movie, right? One day CM. Person wants to become CM for one day. So that's not his goal here. His goal is to help his God relax for one day. So then he agrees, because to achieve that goal, he's ready to do anything for his God. Okay, now the arrangement is made. Now people start coming. People start coming and visiting God. So first, a rich person comes there. Rich person comes there and he makes some prayer. He worships God, and then he has so much of wealth. He has so much of wealth, but he gives only maybe $100, $200, or $1,000. And then after he takes darshan, while going, he forgets to take his wallet. Okay, he takes out his wallet and puts some dakshina in the hundi, but while going, he forgets to take that wallet. Then, okay, one second. Is my voice echoing here? Online people, is my voice echoing?
There is an echo.
There's an
Yeah,
echo.
there is a slight echo.
But it's fine. We can make out.
This should be on mute. Keep this on mute. Because I was hearing my voice.
Yeah.
Is it good now?
Yes.
Yeah. Mute చేశారు కదా. Zoom call mute చేశారు కదా. Okay, good. I could have done from here only, right? Okay. Yeah. So the arrangement is made, and then people start visiting, and this rich man, he forgets his wallet, and then he goes home. Next, a poor man comes. A poor man comes and he prays to God and tells him that, God, please help me. I'm in real difficulties. Please help me. And then he has one last coin in his pocket, and that's all he has, nothing else. Even at home, he does not have anything else. So he offers even his last, remaining asset. And then he sees the wallet there. He sees the wallet, and then he takes the wallet. He takes the wallet and he goes home. And he thinks that maybe this is God's arrangement for me. Maybe this is God's arrangement for me to solve my problems. So he prays to the God, and by the time he opened his eyes, there is a wallet in front of him. So he considered that as God's plan for him. And then he takes the wallet and goes home. Then after a while, a sailor comes. A sailor, by profession, he's a sailor. He comes to visit the temple. Okay, he takes darshan of God, and then he's still sitting there. And meanwhile, that rich person who realized that he lost his wallet, he comes back to the temple with a police. Now, when the police and this rich person come, the only person they see him is the sailor. And the rich person assumes that it is the sailor who has stolen his wallet. And he asks the police to arrest him. Now the police was trying to arrest the sailor. Then the sweeper, who is standing in the form of deity, looking at all this, he could not control. He could not control, and he says, saying that, no, the poor man was the person who stole the wallet, not the sailor. Then the police leave the sailor and catch the poor man. Then the sweeper is feeling happy, saying that there was a problem that was about to happen, and I fixed it. I solved it. Then it's the end of the day, And then the god, the god comes to sweeper and says, okay, now it's the time for us to exchange places. By the way, how did the day go? Then the sweeper says, yeah, it went very well. A lot of people came, and then he narrates these 3 incidents. And then the god says, and while explaining, the sweeper feels that, oh, my God will be very happy because I fixed a problem. A problem was about to happen, and I fixed it. My God will be very pleased and he'll be happy. Then Krishna puts his head on his hand on his head and says, oh, what a mistake you have done. And then Krishna explains his plan for those 3 people. Krishna tells the plan for the rich person is, even though he has so much wealth, he's only donating little bit. He's keeping a lot of wealth behind, and he's only keeping little bit, and he's asking for more and more. So I want to purify him. Okay, that is God's plan for the rich person. And God's plan for the poor person is to give that wealth in the form of wallet, to give some wealth to that poor person so that he can feel happy. At the same time, Krishna can also purify that rich person's karma. Because he was not charitable, right? He was not very charitable. He was giving only a little bit of money to the temple, but he was not very charitable. So Krishna wanted to purify that rich person's karma also, and then help this poor person. And then Krishna's plan for the sailor was, after darshan, he was going to take a ship and then start sailing, start his job basically. But a big storm was about to happen, and Krishna really wanted to save this sailor. And he wanted that police to arrest this sailor. If he arrests, the police arrest the sailor, then he would be in jail and would not take the ship, and then he would not die. That was his plan for the sailor. So Krishna had 3 different plans for these 3 different people, but the sweeper understood them in a different way. But he thought he fixed the problem. A problem was going to happen, and he fixed the problem. That was his understanding. So just like in this story, in our life also, whenever a situation happens, it is nothing but Krishna's plan for us. And it is a perfect situation. It is perfect. We may not feel happy, or we may not acknowledge, we may not accept it. But it is a perfect plan that Krishna has for us. No matter what happens, whether it's a good thing or bad thing, tech layoff or family issue, or loss of a near and dear one in the family, anything, health issues, anything. Every situation is perfect in our life. It is custom made for our life. Now our job is to understand what is Krishna's plan for me, why Krishna has created this situation for me, what is Krishna is trying to teach me through this situation. We need to understand that point. And Bhagavad Gita helps us understand what is God's plan for us. What is God's plan for us? And there is a God has a long-term plan and short-term plan. Just like everything that we do, right? There's a long-term goal and short-term goal. So if you're attending an interview in a company, they'll ask you, what is your short-term goal and long-term goal? So when I had attended my interview in Chennai, probably 99 or 2000. So I was joining that company. I was attending the interview, and then they asked me, what is your short-term goal and long-term goal? I said, short-term goal is, to fine-tune my, Java skills or whatever skills. And then I asked, what is your long-term goal? And then I said, I want to join Oracle Corporation. And they were wondering, you're joining us, and you said you want to join Oracle Corporation. And it so happened that after 1 month, I actually got an offer in Oracle. So when I went to my VP and asked for relieving, and he said, no, when you said it was your long-term goal, I thought you were just joking, or you were telling something for the sake of saying. I never knew that was really your long-term goal. So then they relieved me, and then I joined Oracle. So just like that, we all have, Krishna has short-term plan and long-term plan for all of us in life. So short-term plan is all different situations that happen in our life. But long-term plan, what is Krishna's long-term plan for us?
To take us to the spiritual world.
To take us to spiritual world, to take us back to fish tank, Chandan. Yeah. To fulfill Chandan's purpose in life. So that is Krishna's long-term plan. Okay.
But how do we handle the situation before we know what is the short-term plan and the long-term plan?
Yeah.
Any situation happen in that, how do we handle? Everybody should handle.
So how do we handle situations that happen in our life whenever there are difficulties?
Good or bad?
Yeah, whenever there are, yeah, good thing we don't have to handle, right? We don't have to handle. We're always waiting for good things to happen.
How do you handle the bad, like layoffs or anything?
Yeah.
Good happening in the family. How do people should handle it?
Yeah. So
because it's still in the learning phase of understanding the importance of life, right?
yeah. So it's a gradual process, but a couple of things to answer that question is, so in Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka, 2.14. Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkada, agama payino nityaha, tam stitikshasva bharata. Krishna says, happiness and distress are like winter and summer. They are like heat and cold. One must learn to tolerate them and transcend the happiness and distress. So the key point in this shloka is one must learn to tolerate. Or indirectly, Krishna is saying that you cannot do anything other than tolerating. We have seen classic example. What's the classic example that you can say? A situation where you cannot do anything other than tolerating. Most recent situation. Who said COVID? Okay, what's your name? Huh? Sri Lakshmi, nice name. What's your name? Sanvi. Okay, very good. COVID. We could not do anything other than tolerating. I mean, everyone tried to do a lot of research and understand what was really happening, but little we could do to prevent that situation. Never we imagined that that entire world would go into a lockdown. In the same house, there are four people are living. 4 people would be in 4 different rooms. We could not see, each other's face in the same family. We could not go to India. Some people could not go to India when their parents passed away. Situation was so horrible, unprecedented. And even the scientists, could they do anything about it? No. And that is what Krishna is exactly telling in this shloka, 2.14, chapter 2, shloka 14. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkada. Happiness and distress are like winter and summer. They come and go. Just like heat and cold. They come and go. And you cannot do anything about it. You may try to avoid and to come out of that difficult situation, but you must learn to tolerate. Certain things may be in your control and you may be able to come out of that situation. But there are many things in this life which are beyond our control. Like a person is born blind, born deaf, born dumb, born handicapped. What can we do? We cannot do anything other than tolerating. So while you are tolerating, what we should do is we should understand what is God's plan for us. Why Krishna created this situation for me. Okay. Now, when a situation does not happen in our life, then all of this philosophy looks like some fairy tale story, right? When there are no situations happening in our life, we don't take this philosophy seriously. But we should all be prepared like soldiers. Okay, soldiers at the border of a country. The war does not happen every day, right? The war does not happen every day, and they don't need to fight every day. But what do they do every day? Chandan, what do the soldiers do every day at the border?
They stand up,
Hmm?
they wait.
They wait. Okay. No, they don't simply sit and wait, right?
Prepare, get ready.
How do they do that? How do they get prepared? Hmm? Stay alert, but they're always alert. But what practice do they do?
They're
How to
defending
overcome
by
the
being-
situation.
They're defending by being there.
They're defending by being there, but while they are in the border at the line of control or whatever, LOC, whatever, what do they do?
They want to be always conscious about what other enemies are doing to them in the border.
Yeah, someone has something to say. Shiva, you want to say something?
They get trained.
They get trained. Very good. They get trained. They strengthen their skills, by doing exercise or whatever, right? So they go through the training. They get trained while they are waiting, for the war to happen anytime, so that they can handle that war effectively. So similarly, we should get trained in our life to handle situations. Even though there is no situation in your life, everything is happy, but Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, the 4 situations will happen to everyone in life. If not to us, to our parents, to our near and dear ones, situations will definitely happen to everyone. No one is exception to the 4 problems: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Even the richest person, the most powerful person in the world, is subject to these 4 problems. So we should all be trained, no matter whether situations are happening right now or not. We should all be prepared to handle them by taking proper training. And you get that proper training by reading Bhagavad Gita. So last week we were discussing, right? What do we get after reading Bhagavad Gita? Does anyone remember that slide? What do we get after reading Bhagavad Gita? So Jyoti is nodding her head.
So many points we mentioned in that data. Renunciation,
Yeah, somebody. Devotion. Okay, very good. That's a different topic. Yeah. Love. That is what is Bhagavad Gita all about? Yeah. I think someone.
Understand the
Shashank,
meaning,
raised your hand, right? Okay, I'll come back to you, Shashank. 1 second.
understand the how to lead the life.
How to lead life. Okay. Yeah.
And solutions for our problems.
Okay.
It's like a GPS, you said.
Yeah.
GPS, yeah.
To know our true nature.
Now, I gave that example to tell why we should believe that ISKCON Bhagavad Gita or Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is the most genuine. Yeah, I gave that example. Yeah.
To know our true nature, like how we are connected.
Okay.
Confusions
Hmm?
to clarity.
Purpose of, we'll understand purpose of life. Okay. Very good.
What is the question?
Question is, what do we get after reading Bhagavad Gita? What's the experience?
Okay.
Okay. Now, Shashank.
Yeah, my answer still remains.
Someone else. Oh, Shiva, Srijana. Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead, Shiva.
Prabhuji, we get trained to face any situation.
We get trained to face any situations. Okay. Okay. Shashank.
My answer remains the same as it was last week. Peace.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yeah, peace. So he said peace. Shashank, last class also, Shashank answered peace. Because our ultimate goal is to become happy. And without becoming, if you're not peaceful, then you cannot become happy.
Swapna wants to say something.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
I was not there
One
in
second.
last class, but I think it trains us how to lead the life.
It trains us.
Training.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita trains us to lead life. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So, who had a question? Shashank?
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
So you said like you mentioned just now about a sloka where Krishna tells us to be able to tolerate things, situations rather, to
Yeah.
be tolerant.
Mhm.
And that is all we can do, which is what you said, like just tolerate things.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have this question. If I learn that I just have to tolerate things, then I will not take the initiative of finding solutions to them or thinking of even coming out of them. If
Yeah.
I just sit and I know that all I can do is just tolerate,
Yeah.
then it's like perpetual suffering. If I get the idea that okay, you can really fight back
Mhm.
and you can fight back not like in violent terms, but like fighting back with a situation to
Yeah.
a
Trying to
situation.
overcome situation, right? Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if you can throw some more light on that, like, I mean, I feel that just sitting and tolerating a situation, yeah, there are situations like if you have, if somebody has lost a near and dear one,
Yeah.
then I don't think there's much one can do about it.
Mhm.
I mean, nobody has the Sajini Bhutti here, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's a good
in
question.
other situations, like you mentioned about COVID, if I mean, most of us were just tolerating, but
Mhm.
then all of us were also doing efforts on our personal level in terms of maintaining the hygiene, in terms of sanitizing,
Yeah.
in terms of helping out. And I was like, even otherwise, like there were people who were going out and reaching to others in the community, helping them with food, other necessities, or even like the law enforcement.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say of the US because I don't know much, but about in India, there were law enforcement who were going and getting groceries, food. Even in the US, there were drives about delivering food to the needy and those who are running short on any kind of supplies.
Yep.
So I mean, my understanding is not only just, I mean, maybe you meant this, I didn't take it,
Yeah.
but it is more like giving me a path and at the same time keeping me sane in order to deal with problem. Because if I lose my mind with in dealing with a problem, I cannot come out of that. But
Yeah.
keeping myself sane and at the same time trying to figure out ways to deal with that problem and fight back and come
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. And see, the whole teaching of Bhagavad Gita from Krishna to Arjuna is not to sit idle, right? That was Arjuna's decision. Arjuna decided not to fight after looking at
Right.
his kinsmen on the opposite side. He saw his grandfather Bhishma and teacher Dronacharya on the other side of the army, and he was bewildered. He decided not to fight. How can I fight against my people who are worthy of worship? Grandfather Bhishma and teacher Dronacharya, how can I fight against them? And he decided not to fight. And Krishna said, Krishna did not teach only 2.14 to him. He said, Krishna did not only teach Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya and then Gita is done. No, Krishna encouraged Arjuna to fight. So what I was telling earlier is there are certain things in our control and there are many things beyond our control. So when Krishna says Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya, he's referring to that many things which are beyond our control. So we think many things are in our control, but there are only very few things in our control. So we are forced to eat, we are forced to sleep, we are forced to wake up, we are forced to go to restroom. We are forced to do many things in life. So in one sense, we don't have control on many things. 99% of the things we don't have control on. Only very few things. We have limited free will, limited control. So use that limited control to perform your duty nicely. The teaching is not to remain idle or not to abandon your duty. So whatever is needed, you do it. During COVID time, whatever was needed, everyone was doing. The government was doing something and individuals, we were doing something. Everyone were trying to get out of that situation.
Right.
But in the end, despite all these efforts, so many people passed away. even the young people. So many people
Beyond
pass
our
away.
control.
Yeah. So in the bigger picture, in a large scale, things are not in our control. Okay, there are few things that may be in your control, which are very negligent. But we think I'm the Lord, I'm the master. I can control everything. Sudhakar cannot even control Jyoti. We cannot control our own wife or husband. What to speak of controlling situations?
We cannot control our minds.
Jyoti cannot control Sudhakar. So
We cannot control our minds. Something which
cannot control
resides
our
in
minds.
us,
Yeah, our own mind.
something which resides in us stays with us 24/7
Yeah,
and still has the potential to rule over us.
yeah. And maybe the other Jyoti cannot control Chandan.
No, I don't.
So, yeah. So, yeah, Krishna does not ask to become lethargic, lazy, and be morose, don't do anything. No, that's not the teaching. This is another misconception people generally have, right? If we take up to spirituality, in India, they say, right? If you all, tomorrow, if you all call your parents and say, what have you done yesterday? And you say that I attended a Bhagavad Gita class, they will laugh at you.
What happened to you?
They will laugh at you.
What you got other things to do?
Yeah. Are you
Not
not-
the age to attend those classes.
Yeah, they'll say, you have long time to do all these things. Why are you doing all this now? Just enjoy your life. So why did I bring this point?
What will you
We were discussing about that tolerance,
after
sloka
that?
on tolerance.
Yeah,
And we are not supposed to be lethargic. We are supposed to still work
yeah.
and,
Misconception.
and
The
tolerate
misconception
things which
people have-
are beyond our control.
Yeah. So generally, people have a misconception that if somebody is practicing spirituality, if somebody is going to temple every day and worshipping, God every day, spending time in the temple 1 hour, 2 hours, they think that this person is not fit for anything, or he does not have anything to do. He has a lot of free time, or he does not want to grow in career. So he's fit for nothing. That's why he's coming to temple. He's taking up spirituality. That's a misconception.
Doesn't have anything to do except.
Yeah. If you don't have anything, just take up to spirituality for time pass. But that's a wrong misconception. We have seen so many people especially in ISKCON, right? So many big personalities, famous personalities. Like the other day, I think last week, right? Who has that slide? Who has read Bhagavad Gita? So I showed a slide where we saw a picture of Alfred Ford, the owner of Ford company. Such a rich person. He's very happy. He has a nice family. It's not like he has a family issues. That's why he is taking up spirituality. It's not like he's in need of money. That's why he's taking up spirituality. It's not like he has health issues. No, he's very, very happy, very rich and well settled. He does not have to do anything. He does not have to come to temple. Does not have to come to God and ask for anything. But still, he's reading Bhagavad Gita. He's practicing spirituality. So that misconception, if somebody has that, or if you hear from somebody that spirituality, if a person is taking spirituality, means they're fit for nothing. No. So Krishna is not asking us to become lethargic. He's asking us to be active. But while performing our duty, we have to think about God. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. There is shloka in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Mam anusmara yudhyacha. You fight. Yudha means fight. You do the fighting, but while doing that fighting, Mam anusmara. Smarana means remembering. So you remember me. Krishna tells Arjuna, you do your fighting, but while fighting, you remember me. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. So in our day-to-day life also, whatever situation we are dealing with, while dealing with those situations, if we remember Krishna, if we keep Krishna in the center of our life, then everything will be fine. Okay.
One supplement question, if you permit.
Yeah.
So you also, I mean, we talked a while ago about discovering, like I said, like I want to know why am I here,
Yeah.
and then we move towards what is Krishna's plan for us.
Yeah.
So if Krishna has a plan for me, then why exactly am I supposed to work? He can execute his plans in his own way. He's much more capable than me and much more competent and resourceful than me. Then why am I to do any kind of work? And if I have to work, then why am I to work
So
as per his
your previous point.
plans?
You're contradicting your previous point. Previously, you said
Exactly.
I have to be active. Now you are saying, why should I do anything? If God has a
This
plan,
is the
why should I do anything?
This is the plan for the
right. I mean, it always seemed to me like paradoxical statements. Like
Yeah.
if he has a plan for me, then he needs to put me to work or whatever he needs to do. I don't have to take the initiative and start moving myself into that direction. He has to do that. I mean, if it's like if he wants me to go from place A to place B, he should make my legs active and give me. I mean, that could be in the way of like you could say possibly it's because he will take control of my thought process and he'll give me a kind of incentive towards
Yeah.
going from place A to place B. That could be one thing. But
Yeah.
if I have to do something out of my then
So
then
you answered your own question actually. So you said if he wants me to know his plan, he has to put me through some situation. He has to give
right.
legs and make me walk. So who do you think is doing all these things? Whatever you are doing in your life, who do you think is doing? Who do you think is behind all this?
It's God, I guess, Krishna.
Yeah.
He has his plans.
Yeah.
But then everybody says, like when I was a student, everybody was saying if I don't score 90% in my exams,
Yeah.
everybody say, no, you need to put more hard work. I mean, you can see it this way also. Krishna didn't want me to score 90%, so I didn't get 90%. Nobody says that. But if you get more than 90%, okay, Krishna give you 90%. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like if this happens, if something good happens, which everybody recognizes, that's Krishna. But if something not so good happens,
Yeah.
it's like your fault, your fault. No, it has to be Krishna again.
Yeah, it is Krishna again, but the living entity, all of us, the Jivatma, we all have limited free will. Ultimately, we are responsible for our own actions. We cannot say that a terrorist cannot say that after killing innocent children in the school, he cannot say that oh, it is God's plan. That's what God wanted. He cannot say
That's
that.
what they say, but
Yeah, so that's wrong.
that's what they say, but
Yeah, there are so many misconceptions. So that's
but then isn't it true, like if like we just said, like the example which you gave is like if somebody kills someone, like a terrorist kills students in school, small, I mean, killing kids in school, that's not correct. That is, he is responsible. But then God is there, right? He is the supreme head. He could have protected them. He didn't protect them.
And the terrorist, he will not be able to kill the innocent children without God's sanctioning it.
Exactly. If God would come to protect them, nobody has the power to overcome that or protect or do something against the will of God. Then the God didn't protect them.
Rake Krishna Mareke, Mare Krishna Rakeke. Shweta, have you heard that? Okay.
Yeah.
No? You heard it?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So what exactly does mean?
It means like we say, right? If nobody can save us, it's what was that?
God wants to save you. Nobody can
Kill you. Nobody can kill you.
Yeah.
And if God wants you to be killed, nobody can save you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in that example, the terrorist killing innocent children, God has a plan for the terrorist as well as the children. That's why it happens. It's not like it happened without the sanctioning of God. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of God. We all know that saying, right? Not a blade of grass moves without the will of God. Even if I want to raise my hand, previously you raised a hand, right? A simple act such as raising a hand needs God's sanctioning. There are many
So
people
then
who cannot
can,
raise their hand, right? Because of health issues and whatever, they cannot raise their hand. I'm able to raise
but
my
then
hand.
does that mean we sit idle like, okay, this was plan of God that a terrorist went ahead and killed so many students. So
Yeah.
this was because God wanted it. So let's not punish the culprit. Let's
No.
not even try to avoid such situations.
God's plan for the terrorist is to be punished. That's why he put the terrorist in that situation to kill the innocent children. And why the innocent children were killed? Because
Exactly.
bad karma. They had some karma carrying on from the past life. That's why, even though they have not done, see, kids up to the age of 12, they don't have any karma. Whatever they do, even if they do knowingly or unknowingly, they don't incur any sinful reactions.
Not even from the past births.
You already,
No, not even from the.
you're 12 years age. So you must be thinking, oh, I wasted my 12 years. I didn't do anything. I could have done many things. I could have done many things. I could have been
So
more
like,
than, I could have been more mischievous than.
No, doesn't know. We did.
I thought 5 years kids are like, they're innocent. Like after 5 years, they start to build their own.
No, 12 years. 12 years. So 12 years is when their past life samskaras and vasanas keep coming, and then you're trying to mold his life into one form and one shape. But all of a sudden, from 12 years, you can see they become rebellious.
Yeah.
You know, when they enter the teenage, they almost become, how old are you now, Chandan? 14. Yeah.
In 2 months, he is turning 15.
Sanvi, right? How old are you? 11.
Yeah, 1 more
You
year.
have 1 more year. Huh? Few months. Yeah, you have freedom for a few more months. Good. So, yeah.
Like how's that?
Hmm?
How's 12 years?
How is 12 years determined? Basically, their consciousness, the puberty, at the time of puberty, that's when they become mature, and that's why the word mature, right? Maturity means what? Their consciousness is in proper shape to decide between good and bad, to discriminate right and wrong.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen in.
Doesn't happen what?
That doesn't even happen in teenagers. Like if we can't see someone who's 12 or 13, like they have very good understanding of what's good and bad. But they already.
It does not happen because of lack of training. That first 12 years are given for training. It's an opportunity given for the parents to train the kid so that from 12 year onwards, despite their vasanas and samskaras from previous life coming to them and influencing them in a wrong way, the training that the parents can give in the first 12 years, that will help the kids to mold their life in a good shape. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, you're right. During teenage, they make more mistakes. And why do they make those mistakes? Is because of lack of training. Parents,
I don't agree with that, but I don't want people to have it.
so you don't agree that it's not because of lack of training from parents. So the way
You can't train someone in the first 12 years
Mhm.
to make a decision of good and bad for the rest of their life. That is not possible.
It is possible, because if Vedas are saying it is possible. Whatever is mentioned in Vedas, it is timeless wisdom. So the way Vedas mention about parenting is, first 5 years, you have to pamper the child like anything. You should not scold like Indian parents scold. You have to pamper the child like anything.
He's laughing.
And
He's laughing like any inert. He's laughing like anything.
so when they do that, when parents do that, when the parents give lot of love and affection and pamper the child for the first 5 years, they develop so much bonding, trust and faith on the parent, and they're ready to do anything the parent wants them to do after that. First 5 years, pampering. And after 5 years, 5 to 12 years, it's disciplining. And after 12, you have to be like a friend. With teenagers, you have to be like a friend. So if you failed the first 2 steps, if you failed pampering your child for the first 5 years, if you failed disciplining your child for the next 7 years, then you have no hope after that. You can just be a witness and see what's happening, but you don't have any hope. You can do a little bit to control the situation, but you don't have much hope after 12 years. So, I mean, unfortunately, we learned these lessons after the 12 years are gone, and after, our parenting, time has passed away. So, but at least, so yeah, then that's what Vedas teach. If you failed in these 2 things, then the consequences will be different. But if you have succeeded pampering your child, if you have succeeded disciplining your child, then it is guaranteed that the child will not make mistakes.
I again don't disagree. I don't agree to that.
You can agree to disagree.
I disagree.
Yeah, you can agree to disagree. That's okay.
You thought I keep my thought.
Yes, you can agree to
I
disagree.
respect your thinking, that's all right.
Yeah. So, so where were we? Yeah.
Teenager, I think they just try to learn. They don't know like what is going on. They are confused with the situation.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
I can learn.
Mhm.
They get like it's like experience.
Yeah.
And then they try to with parents a little bit helping or like friends. That's what
Yeah.
I think. I don't have experience, but I'm just thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are saying they learned
Yeah, they are
by making
confusing
mistakes?
at, like that stage is like confusing. They don't know what is right, what is wrong. They just try to learn. And
Yeah.
they make mistake, and that's possible. That can happen.
So there are 4 classes of people, right? When it comes to intelligence, there are 4 classes of people. First class intelligent people, second class intelligent people, third class, and fourth class. So how do you define first class intelligence? A person hears and learns a lesson. A person hears and learns a lesson. For example, a 3-year-old toddler. If you say that do not go near the fire. If you put your finger in the fire, it will burn you. And the child learns. Then that is first class intelligence. Second class intelligence is a person learns by watching others going through some suffering. The same child, if the child sees another child putting finger in the fire and burning, then this child learns. Until that point, this child does not learn. Even though the parents are telling, don't go near the fire, this child keeps going near the fire and trying to put finger in the fire. So second class intelligence is watching others going through suffering and learning. Third class intelligence is you go through the experience by yourself. As you said, you make mistakes and learn through the mistakes. That is third class intelligence. And what is fourth class intelligence?
Though they burn their finger, they don't learn.
Yeah, though they hear, though they see others suffering, though they themselves are suffering, they do not learn a lesson. That is fourth class intelligence. So who do you want to be? Yeah. Do you want to be a first class intelligent person, or second class, third, or fourth class intelligent person? You want to, that's the ideal situation, right? You want to become first class intelligent person. And all of us want to become first class intelligent people, so that we don't make mistakes and we don't suffer.
Prabhuji, but isn't it like Krishna has a plan for all of us? So he will decide who we become.
Krishna
decide which class you will belong to.
has given you limited free will. Krishna has given you free will, intelligence, and the knowledge.
Okay.
Everything. He has given you all the facilities to become first class intelligent person. Krishna is not preparing fourth class intelligent people, saying that oh, you all suffered, you all make mistakes, you suffered, and then I'll be sitting there in Golok Vrindavana and I'll be watching and laugh. That's not Krishna's Krishna's personality. So Krishna is so merciful. So he time to time he descends. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Why does Krishna come? And why does Krishna send so many of his representatives? Whether gurus or Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, or Srila Prabhupada, why does God send so many representatives? To create a plan for us, to educate us, to sharpen our intelligence, so that we can become first-class intelligent people and not make mistakes and then learn through them. Yeah. So, okay. So on this related point, right, we can understand Bhagavad Gita at 3 different levels. Historical, ethical, and metaphorical. So in the last 2 weeks, we discussed what is Bhagavad Gita, what is this book all about. We learned that it is a yoga book, love book, law book, and spiritual book. We discussed many points, what Gita is all about. So Gita can be understood at 3 different levels. Not only Bhagavad Gita, but any Itihasa or any Purana, any scripture can be understood in 3 different levels: historical, ethical, and metaphorical. So what is historical? What is understand?
What is the meaning of the third thing you said just right now?
Metaphorical?
Yeah.
Okay. The word metaphor. Chandan, do you know the meaning of the word metaphor?
It's like something, it's a word or a phrase that represents something else.
Very good. So you're trying to explain or describe about one thing, but you're telling it in indirect way.
Okay.
For example, there's a beautiful lady. We can describe her eyes, saying that her eyes are like lotus petals. They're actually not like lotus petals. They're actually not lotus petals, but we use that analogy to describe the beautiful eyes. So you are using some phrase or some verbiage to describe something else. So that's a metaphor. It's an indirect way of telling about something. So there are 2 things, right, in English grammar: figurative and literative. So literal meaning is you're saying direct, about something. Figurative means indirect. Figurative and metaphor is both. So historical. So any scripture or any Itihasa, Purana, Bhagavad Gita, anything we can understand at a historical level. That means we can understand it as a battle. Okay, Mahabharat war. We can understand it as just a battle. Okay, in the history, there's a battle happened between Kauravas and Pandavas, and instead of considering it an ordinary battle, because there was Krishna also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there was Krishna also, we consider it as a war with the divine presence, a war that has that has divine presence. It's not a mere ordinary thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's a transcendental thing. Even though it's a historical understanding for us, we all watch the Mahabharat serial, right? B.R. Chopra. So our perception of watching that serial was just to get some entertainment and get an understanding of the war. So we did not learn any lesson from it. It was just entertainment, or simply by watching you get purified. You get some purification because there was Krishna's divine presence. You have some benefit out of it. You get some purification. Second level of understanding is ethical. So you see that different people acted in different ways during the war. Duryodhana made a mistake. That's why he suffered through the consequences of it. And Ravanasura, he did mistakes. And what is Ravanasura's brother? Vibhishan, yeah, Vibhishan. Even though he was in the demoniac family, but he chose the right path. That's why he succeeded. He became a good devotee of Rama. So like that, you can look at different people, how they acted, and then learn lessons from them. That is ethical level. And then the third one is metaphor. Now, we took that example, right, to describe the beauty of a lady's eyes, we use that lotus petals example. Similarly, Lord Krishna is teaching this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to all of us through the via medium of Arjuna. And we should not consider it like, okay, this is the instruction for Krishna from Krishna for Arjuna only, not for me. Let me just simply read, and for the sake of reading or for getting some intellectual stimuli, it is not for that purpose. The purpose is to understand that this is the lesson for me from Krishna. Krishna is teaching to us through the via medium of Arjuna, like a metaphor. Okay, indirect way of teaching. So let's say there is a newly wed bride, okay, comes to the in-laws home, and then the mother-in-law wants to teach the newly wed daughter-in-law. So how does the mother-in-law teach? There are two approaches, right? Either direct approach or indirect approach. If the mother-in-law teaches in a direct way, it's possible that the daughter-in-law might be offended. She might take it personally, and she might feel bad about it. So the mother-in-law teaches through the via medium of her own daughter. Okay, so she can tell, the mother-in-law can tell her own daughter, in front of the daughter-in-law, she can tell the daughter, saying that this is how you should do things in this home. This is how you should not do things in this home. Then by listening, mother-in-law teaching her own daughter, the daughter-in-law will learn a lesson. Okay, it's an indirect way of teaching. So similarly, Krishna is teaching all of us this knowledge to learn lessons, just like how Arjuna learned his lesson. Okay. Now, going back to, okay, Krishna has given so much knowledge and we are all learning. So now going back to that question of what do we get after reading Bhagavad Gita? So Shashank said peace, right? Yeah. So any other point? Sri Lakshmi, can you say anything? What will you get? What will be your experience after reading Bhagavad Gita?
Just another assertion of what devotion I had.
Okay, another association of
The devotion I had.
Okay. Sahana or Sanvi? Have you read Bhagavad Gita before? Okay. But you have some idea, right? Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana. So what will you get when you read all these Indian scriptures?
You learn to live with yourself and how to live with others.
You learn to live by yourself?
With yourself, like
Okay.
realistic.
Okay. So you're trying to say you'll find happiness from within. You don't have to be dependent on others for your own happiness. Okay, that's good. Any other points you'd like to add?
I think it's more about knowing the morals.
Knowing the morals, very good. Yeah.
What those morals would be, and then understanding how they should be applied situationally.
Yeah.
I think that's what it will teach you.
Very good.
Yeah, it brings more confidence.
More confidence. Very good. Yeah. So when you are in a situation like Arjuna, right? Arjuna was bewildered looking at his kinsmen who came to fight against him. He was bewildered. He was confused. He did not know what to do, whether to fight or not. And then after hearing Bhagavad Gita knowledge from Krishna, he became more confident, and he stood up and he shot arrows. Yeah, very good. What's your name?
Dinesh.
Dinesh?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you say anything? What will you get after reading Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, I think it teaches us like how to lead a life.
Okay.
On various aspects.
Yeah. Very good. You have anything to say? What's your name?
My name is Archana.
Archana?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like after reading Bhagavad Gita, I might learn in this situation how I can, sorry, for some reason I'm not able to
Yeah.
articulate my
So,
feelings right now. But
how do I solve that situation?
how do I solve the situation, or I can learn what karmas, like good karmas and bad karmas, those kinds.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So
Basically, well, understanding the situation very well, so that to act accordingly.
yeah, very good. That's a very good point. Most of the times when situations happen in our life, we react there's a difference between react and respond. Okay, we should not react. So the classic example is when a quarrel happens, between wife and husband, the immediate thing that we do is react. So instead of reacting, you take a step back and you respond. And how can you respond? Only after you understand the situation. If you don't understand the situation, then you cannot respond. You'll only be reacting.
Because of the senses we have, everybody have a different perception to that understanding.
Yeah.
So in your world, that might be right.
Yeah.
In my world, I might be right.
Yeah.
So how do you come to a bridge?
Yeah. How do you come to a correct understanding?
Correct understanding to respond to the situation.
Yeah, that's another good point. Each person's perception is different. Yeah.
Somebody misunderstand what we are when we are explaining something. Some people won't take it in a good way.
Yeah, and most of the times we think whatever I'm saying is correct.
Yeah.
So my suppose other people in the same boat, right?
Other person thinks whatever he's saying or whatever he's doing is the right thing. Right? That's why the quarrel happens, right?
Yes.
If
It begins with the misunderstandings only all the time.
Yeah. So the misunderstanding is not understanding because we don't understand the current situation properly. That's why the Vedic knowledge helps us sharpen our intelligence to discriminate between good and bad, to discriminate between right and wrong, and have a proper understanding of the situation. Instead of keeping your own perception in the center, so you understand the situation in a better way with the intelligence that you get from Vedic knowledge. Yeah.
No, but even if you respond, after understanding, let's say I go to a situation, I understand it very well.
Yeah.
I respond to the situation. Since I have been gone through DYS and all this understanding, down the line, not right now because I'm in the material world.
Yeah.
Maybe down there 5 years and on. The other person might not be in the same situation. He might be in material world at the time. So how do you cope up with those situations?
Yeah, that's another good point. So when it comes to becoming peaceful or becoming happy, that should not be subject to any conditions. We cannot say that, okay, if I fix this one problem, I'll be happy. If I set this one person right, I have a problem with this one person. I have a problem with my mother-in-law. If I fix this one person right, if I set this one person right, then I can become happy forever. That's the tendency, right? That's how we all, think all the time. But the true happiness or true peace is not subject to any condition. It's not dependent on external objects. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka. Krishna says, Padma Patram Ivam Basa. Padma Patram means lotus flower. So what is the situation of lotus flower? Jyoti?
So when it is in the water, you are asking?
No, how is the life of a lotus flower and where does the lotus flower live? What is surrounding?
Yeah, in mud, because it comes
in mud.
from the mud only.
In mud. And
but it reaches to the God's feet.
Huh?
It reaches to the God's feet, right?
Yeah, the flower ultimately it reaches God. But while that lotus flower is growing in the mud, it does not carry mud.
It is already purified.
Yeah. No, it is not. No, it is not. It is not purified. Once it is offered to God, then it is purified. Yeah. But while remaining in the mud, even though it is remaining in the mud, it does not come in contact with any mud. So we should be like that. Even though the other person does not have knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, but at least you have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So you handle the situation in a proper way. So the problem comes when you react. But if you understand the situation because you have a knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and you respond saying that, or you educate the other person, right? Saying that, okay, I could be wrong or you could be wrong, but let's sit down and try to understand the situation and figure out who is right and who is wrong. Instead of figuring out who is right and wrong, let's try to understand what is the right thing to do. So you will be able to convince the other person like that. May not be the first time, may not be the second time, may not be the 10th time, maybe the 100th time, but you will become successful. If you follow this principle, you will become successful.
that many chances. Who is going to give us?
So who invented bulb? Who invented bulb? And how did he invent? He failed 100 times, or more than 100 times.
No,
He did not give up.
In these days, nobody won't have that much time, and nobody won't give us that much time to explain our situation, and we can convince them.
What if you have to live with that person for next
Entire
50,
life.
entire life. Yeah, entire life.
Husband,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was telling in an indirect way. Could be husband or wife, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, or your own child, Anybody, it could be anybody, your brother or sister. Quarrels can happen between any two people. Any two people. Quarrels can happen between any two people. Yeah. So if you practice this, then you can become successful. May not be first time, may not be second, may not be 10th, but you will definitely be successful 100th time. It all depends how much sincerely we are learning this knowledge. Yeah.
We want to keep on trying.
Yeah.
With pure love and affection.
Yeah.
Then they will reach out.
Yeah, you have to be patient.
They will reach out.
Yeah, you have to be patient. Yeah. So you want to say something? Yeah.
I think the goal is to reduce friction. Right?
Yeah, that's another good point. Goal is to reduce friction.
Avoid quarrel is what we're trying to reduce friction.
Yeah.
One way, like as what Pranay said, right? You can do that. What I usually practice, I can share, is pick your fight. You don't need to fight everything.
Pick your battles, this way, right? Yeah.
Pick your battle, right? Like 1,000 things that happen. What you need to assess, does this matter in long term in my life?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, just don't care. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Like, you want to do this, do. Like long term, it has no impact on my life. I have nothing. I don't want to like ruin my mood. I don't want to create friction on that.
Yeah.
If it comes to a point where this thing, a decision that you're going to make now, it's going to come back to you a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now. It's going to affect you some point in future in your life. You need to make sure that decision is then made correctly and thoroughly. That's when you pick your fight. And if that is going in wrong direction, then you need to come out and say like, now this is wrong, and now I'm not going to follow. And at that time, how you want to resolve that, that's fine. If that becomes a big fight, in my mind, I'm completely fine with it. Because that's going to impact my life, and I don't want anything to impact my life down the line. Because I have my consciousness to know how my life needs to go, right? The other person may not know that. But again, the rest of the other times, if it doesn't matter in long term, I don't want any friction. Just do it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's for your own sake. It's for your own sake. For your own happiness,
yeah,
you avoid some battles. Yeah. So
in practical life, that's difficult actually, but it's good.
Same thing. At house, like even with Anika or her, right? Like what do you want to do today? Or
charge making.
Like you'll do both. You want it doesn't matter, right? But then if time comes and like like if we want to teach Anika something, we want to start a class, right? Like if the class is more like, hey, I want to do dancing, and then like we tried like 3-4 times, like no, I'm like, you know what, fine, that's fine. It's not like you're gonna be like do your whole life on your running from dancing, right? I don't care. But if it comes about like starting something that's gonna teach her discipline, which is gonna help improve her life, then that becomes like a must. Now that you have to do. I'm not gonna let that go, right? The same thing I do at work too. Like so that I apply that at work too. Like your colleagues, your other teams, they always push back. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't want to pick a fight for this small thing. It's just gonna ruin our relationship. What kind of relationship?
Yeah. So the related topic, right? So especially in the household life, a good principle is to let the wife manage the kitchen related stuff and household related stuff, like what type of clothes to buy for the kids, all those things. And it is a best practice for the wife to let the husband make financial decisions. Most of the times we see these two are interfering, and that's when the quarrels happen. So you pick your battle. If your wife is choosing a particular set of clothes for your child, are you going to pick a battle on that? It's your decision. So just to tell that with an example. Okay. Okay. Now it's one.
Prabhuji, are we towards closure? I'll have to drop in next 5 minutes.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we're almost winding up. Yeah. So now going back to that point of what do we get after reading Bhagavad Gita? So you all said shared very beautiful points. Connect Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay. And last week we discussed, right, what are the problems that the mind creates? Okay. So we learned some of the problems: anxiety, lust, greed, anger. What else? Stress. Okay. Selfishness. Okay. Jealous. Okay. Envy. Yeah. So there are so many problems, right? It's unlimited. The list of
Confusions.
problems. Confusions. Yeah. Duality. Okay. Duality. So these are the different problems the mind creates. And Bhagavad Gita helps us control our mind and get rid of all these problems. So there was a story of this young boy and his grandfather. So the young boy watches grandfather reading Bhagavad Gita every day, and sometimes he repeats whatever he reads. He repeats. Second chapter he repeats every day. For a few days he repeats. So watching his grandfather, the boy is wondering, what is my grandfather getting out of it? He's reading every day and repeating the same thing over and over again. So he's curious to know what does grandfather get out of it. Then one day he asks, and the grandfather wanted to teach with an example, saying that, okay, so I'll give you a basket. You go and fetch water using this pail of, or pail or basket. And that basket is very dirty. It was used to fetch coal from coal mines. It's very black and very dirty, and it has holes. Okay, basket, right? Like an empty, like a netted basket. It has a lot of holes. Grandfather gives that basket to the boy and asks him to go near a well and fetch water from it. The boy is confused, but he wants to attempt doing that. He goes to the well and tries to fetch some water. But by the time he reaches the house, all the water is gone. And the grandfather asks him to repeat it. No, go this time. You put your best effort, and I think you can do it. So the grandson, he goes to the well repeatedly several times. But every time he comes back, there's no water in the basket. Now he gets frustrated, saying that I'm doing this every time, and I'm not getting any water. So I give up. And then he tells grandfather that no, I don't like this. I'm getting frustrated. Then the grandfather asks the grandson to look at the basket. And that's the first time the boy pays attention to that basket. And he realizes how clean it is now. It was very dirty and black in color. It was used in coal mines to fetch coal. And now the first time the boy pays attention to it. Every time he's engrossed in going to the well and fetching water. He was so involved in that activity, but he did not observe the basket so carefully. So first time he paid attention and looks at that basket so carefully. It's very clean. It's like a new basket. And grandfather tells, that is what happens when you read Bhagavad Gita. You may understand or may not understand certain things, but if you read and hear Bhagavad Gita every day, this is what exactly happens to your mind. So last week we discussed so many problems the mind creates. You know, the Arishad Varga, they say, right? Mada, Matsarya, Kama, all those things. So when you read Bhagavad Gita, your mind will become cleansed, just like that basket getting cleansed with water every day. So certain things, you know, if you hear from any YouTube lectures or someone speaking, it may not make sense to you at that moment. You may not understand certain things, but if you simply hear and contemplate on that over a period of time, by repeated hearing, things will make sense and you can put a proper perspective to those things and it will cleanse your mind. So that is what happens after reading Bhagavad Gita. So it's 1:16. I think we can stop here. If anyone has any questions, we can discuss. Any questions, comments, reflections, we can discuss. You have anything, Asha?
So last week, like I just want you to repeat one thing, like
Yeah.
when writing Bhagavad Gita from initially when it started. So from Krishna, like how it was written, or taking the help of Ganesha. And
Yeah.
Can you just say that again?
Yeah, who has written
Yeah, in
Bhagavad
the first
Gita?
place, like how did it come?
Yeah, who has written the first ever manuscript of Bhagavad Gita? So there are about 1,000 commentaries in the market now. How do we know which is genuine and who has written the first ever manuscript of Bhagavad Gita and how it was passed down to us? So it was Vasudev who had written Bhagavad Gita the very first time. When Vasudev decided to write Mahabharatam, Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata has different parvas. Parvas are like different sections or cantos or different sections. One such parva is Bhishma Parva. So Bhagavad Gita comes from Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. So Vasudev decided to write Mahabharata, which contains Bhagavad Gita. And then he goes to Brahmaji and asks for help. Brahmaji is the creator, right, of everyone. So he asks, Vasudev asks Brahmaji, so who can help me? I'm about to sit down to write down this humongous volume of literature. Who can help me write this? Then Brahmaji says, Ganesha, Lord Ganesha is the best person to help you. Then he approaches Ganesha to seek help. Then Ganesha agrees to write Bhagavad Gita, to write Mahabharata, but with one condition. Ganesha says, once you start narrating Mahabharata, you should not stop. Because Ganesha is very intelligent and he's a fast writer also. That's why Brahmaji recommended to take help of Ganesha to write. He's a fast writer and he's very intelligent. That's why on Vinayak Chauthi day, we pray to Ganesha, right? To give buddhi, especially for children. We put our books there and we offer a prayer to get intelligence. So Ganesha is intelligent and fast writer. So Ganesha puts a condition to Vasudev, saying that I'll help you write this literature, but you should not stop. Once you start narrating, you should not stop. And that's impossible, right? Once you start and keep on narrating, it's very difficult because you have to contemplate and you have to say, you have to think twice before you say, because it's going to be written in the manuscript and that will be passed down to the mankind forever. So Vasudev has to be very careful before he says anything. So then he counteracts to Ganesha with another condition, saying that you should not write anything without understanding anything. So now again, Ganesha has to contemplate, right? Whatever he hears, he has to contemplate and understand it. So by exchanging that, loving and transcendental challenge, they both sit down and write Mahabharata, which contains Bhagavad Gita also. So that was the first ever written manuscript by Vasudeva and Ganesha. And then it was passed down to different sages. So if you have who has Bhagavad Gita book here? Either at home or here. Okay. Yeah. So when you go back home, you look at the Bhagavad Gita introduction, the initial few pages, there is a lineage given, starting from, Sri Krishna as the supreme teacher, Sri Krishna, Narada Muni, Brahma, Vasudeva, and so on. There is a list of all the gurus, spiritual masters given. So that list explains you how Bhagavad Gita was passed down to us. We discussed that during our device course. We can touch upon that maybe in one of the classes. Yeah. And by the way, I have some Bhagavad Gita books I can give you. If you don't have anyone, I can give you. I brought about 15, 16 Bhagavad Gitas. Yeah.
English version?
English version.
అయితే నాకు ఇంగ్లీష్ ఒకటి ఇవ్వరా?
Yeah.
ఎందుకంటే తెలుగులో ఇచ్చారు మీరు, తెలుగు నా దగ్గర ఏదో ఉంది.
Okay.
అది తీసుకోండి, నాకు ఇంగ్లీష్ లేదు.
Yeah, I'll give you Telugu, English one. So does that help? Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Online? Mangesh, Shashank, Jana, Shiva.
Yeah, one thing I want to kind of add the point that the God's plan, right?
Yeah.
So my thinking is that as God has a plan to put us into a situation,
Yeah.
but it doesn't plan like the plan doesn't have like what we will do in the situation. So for example, like we will have a let's say one particular, God will put us in to give some exam.
Mhm.
But what we write answer to that exam is basically our decision.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's my
not,
thinking.
it's not your decision, right? How do you answer the questions in a test?
Yeah, I mean
Isn't
that one depends on how I have so far, like what my thinking process, what my conditioning has happened in the past. Depending on that, my response will be to that situation. So for example, in a COVID kind of thing where COVID, let's say, is put up by God's plan, but how each individual would react to that situation is their own kind of decisions. Some people will stay at home and be safe. Some people will go and ignore it and completely behave like as if nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Some people will go and do some charity or donation, help others and all.
Yeah.
So it's all individual choices there.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a limited free will where the situation is not kind of we choose, but how to respond is what we choose.
So I'll tell you what I had done, and maybe that will explain you a little bit. So they say that life should always be guided. In every walk of our life should be guided. So his question is, Mangesh is asking regarding the plan, that the God has for everyone. So God has a plan for everyone, but how do I act in that particular plan? God puts us into some situation. So how do I act in a particular situation? And he gave an example of COVID, saying that during COVID time, different people acted differently. Some people they acted and they took shelter of their own home. They were locked down, home quarantined, and some people they did not even worry too much about it. And some people, they went out and did some charity. So there are different things, right? That's why they say life should always be guided. In every walk of our life should be guided. So I'll share a little bit how I have dealt with this situation when COVID happened. So in the beginning of COVID, so we go to ISKCON temple every day, right? And we have a spiritual leader there. So he has been in ISKCON for last 50 years. He's an American born Christian, but he has practiced Krishna consciousness for last 50 years. He's a very learned man. He has a lot of wisdom. He has seen life. And he has never been to any hospital. He has not seen any doctor in the last 50 years. Okay. So during COVID time, the beginning of COVID, I went to him and then I asked. So everyone is saying COVID and everyone is taking different precautions. People are talking about vaccine, mask, this thing, that thing, all those things, different diet, so many things. He told me only one thing. He said, This COVID is non-different than any other flu. But people are simply commercializing it. There is so much hype about it. And we all know about it. There is a news recently that Pfizer company, they created some mutations of the virus just to increase their business. Okay. So there are so many reasons. So many parties are involved in this business, and let's not talk about that. But he only told me very simple thing. It is just like any other flu, but people are just making hype about it. They're commercializing it. And he never wears mask. He's 77 years old. He never wears mask. He never took vaccine. He has never seen doctor. And he was never tested positive with COVID. And he was never sick. At least in the last 10-15 years, I have been seeing him. He never became sick. And he was more energetic. He's always more energetic than all the young people. You're all aware of Ananda Mela festival, right?
Yeah.
We all go to Ananda Mela festival. We enjoy those 2 days and then go home by evening 6 or 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. But this person, this old man, 77 years old man, do you know when he goes home? Next day morning, 7 o'clock, he goes home. So after 9 o'clock, after the festival is ended, he works really hard in the field to wrap up the festival. He does a lot of physical work, wrapping up the festival. And next day morning, he returns the big truck in Seattle and then comes back home, 7 o'clock. So I was very inspired to approach him during the beginning of COVID and ask his advice what to do. And when he said that, I just followed that. I never wore mask except in the flight when they mandated. I never wore mask. I did not take vaccine. I did not worry too much about COVID like everyone did. I mean, it's a highly debatable topic, right? Whether vaccine is good or not. Let's not go into that. But I'm just sharing like how life should be guided all the time. And that guidance we should seek from a person who has wisdom, who has seen life. Now, the 77-year-old man, he has seen life. He has wisdom. So why not we take guidance from any senior person like that, like our parents, our elder people, our grandparents, our gurus. You can take guidance from any elderly person who you have faith upon. And you handle situations according to that. And our best guru is Lord Sri Krishna, who has given knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. And in the absence of Sri Krishna, this knowledge is imparted by gurus, who are his representatives. So, Mangesh, hope that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically one line, life should be guided. Every walk of our life, it should be guided. Okay. Anyone else? Anything? Okay. If nothing else, we'll conclude the class here. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.